In the Parsha of Matot-Massei, the Torah describes how 2.5 tribes, Shevet, Bnei Gad, Bnei Ruvain, decided that they wanted to settle on the other side of the Yarden. This, of course, was rather disconcerting to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he begins to negotiate with them. There's a rather fascinating dialogue that the Torah describes between Moshe Rabbeinu and the Bnei Gad, Bnei Ruvain. Ultimately, Bnei Gad, Bnei Ruvain acquiesce to Moshe Rabbeinu's request, and there's a Tanai, a classic condition that is set up, which is found throughout Shas, in Kedushin, in Ksubis, and elsewhere, with reference to their decision to go ahead and settle on the other side of the Yarden. One of the questions that's always troubled me is a simple one. Namely, we know exactly what motivated them. The Torah tells us, Bnei Gad, that because of the pasture area, because they had many flock, many cattle, they needed grazing area, and that really was the reason that motivated them to settle on the other side of the Yarden. But ultimately, Moshe Rabbeinu, being the Manig Yisrael, couldn't he simply have dictated by fiat? Couldn't he simply have imposed his will upon them and indicated to them, I am the Manig Yisrael, this is the Tzav Hashem, you have no choice but to obey. In an autocratic and perhaps even demagoguery, using demagoguery in that kind of a fashion, he could have imposed his will upon them. Why did he not do so? There's one maskana, one very significant conclusion to be derived from that. And that is that the Torah, whenever describes Eretz Yisrael, in many psukim, the Torah uses the following language. Ki atem ovim et hayarden, ki atem boyim al Eretz Canaan, ki atem ovim et hayarden arza Canaan. Many such examples indicating one who wants to acquire Eretz Yisrael, it cannot be acquired neither by fiat, nor by coercion, nor by compulsion, but rather it's something which has to be emanating from a person's desire. The Gemara in Ksubis, and Daf Ayin Hey, the Gemara dashes the pasuk in Tehillim Pei Zayin, Uletzion yeomer ish yulad ba b'hu yichonena elyon. Says the Gemara that the pasuk actually is divided into two segments, describing two persona, two genre, two types of people. Echad hanolad ba v'echad hamitzapeh l'rosa. One who's born in Eretz Yisrael had the great schus of being born in Eretz Yisrael, but the other is hamitzapeh l'rosa, one who has a desire, one who has a nostalgia, one who has a very strong passion and feeling for Eretz Yisrael, is also considered to be echad mibaneha, one of its children. The Gemara at the end of Ksubas describes how Amoraim, when they would come to Eretz Yisrael, this one was Menashe Kippah, he would kiss the ground. This one would be Mitzgalgel Ba'afra Shel Eretz Yisrael. On those Eretz Yisrael, as Chazal describe it and Tanakh describe it, is Eretz HaTzvi, Eretz Chayfetz. The love of Eretz Yisrael is something which is embedded in the kinyan of Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, despite the fact that the Gemara says in Ksubis, Keifen ala mitzvahs, Bezin has the right to compel someone to perform mitzvahs, that is true. But regarding Eretz Yisrael, if one does not have the cheshek, the ratzon, to live in Eretz Yisrael, it is not the ideal matzav. Moshe Rabbeinu, even though he realized that Eretz Yisrael is the very epicenter of our existence and the focus of all of Tanakh, realized he cannot compel the Bnei Gad, Bnei Ruvain. It has to something that has to come from their cheshek. Eretz Yisrael's the Gaon describes it, and the Navi describes it, and the Birchas Hamazon describes it, Eretz Chemda Tova Rechava, a land of great desire. And the way the Gaon says, Sha'akol mitzapim lirosa, chendas Yisrael, v'chendas Hashem Yisbarach, v'chendas kol hayonu v'tachtonim. Halavai, during this period of time, in Matot-Massei, the 3 weeks, we should have and nurture and cultivate this cheshek of Eretz Yisrael, and thereby be able to be zoch in Eretz Yisrael with all of our hearts, all of our minds, our entire persona.